kind of what inspired you on this journey? Where did it all start personally? How it unfolded? And then also, as you're an Ayurvedic doctor and yogi and mystic, how you saw it wasn't just like a fun hobby experience, but how you connecting it with the beautiful, vast sciences of the ancient wisdoms, and the cosmos, the forces of destruction, ability, and and how it kind of plays out through our body and mind, and living our fullest potential.
Yeah. So, hello everyone. I hope everyone can listen to me. Yeah. So, this is a very intricate topic, and maybe this is my first talk over this topic to our people. So, instead of going too much into the technicalities, I will talk a little bit about alcohol, its social moral conundrums, and why exactly I picked it up as for study using Ayurveda. So people who know about Ayurveda a bit, they know that a lot of time it is associated with vegetarian food, no alcohol. It's like a kind of a life which we want, like a social moral life. But when I went into Ayurveda, when I started doing Ayurveda, I was a fun-loving guy. I mean, I used to drink, or being from a city, it's not something which is uncommon to me. So when I started learning Ayurveda, which most probably I didn't do much in my college, thanks to it. So in my journey of learning from masters, somewhere I also started connecting with this thought process of, one needs to lead a pious life, you should not eat meat. But eventually the kind of patients I was getting initially, I always felt that not everyone who is falling sick is non-vegetarian or drinking, or even people who are following a very good lifestyle fall sick. So that was the first thing which intrigued me and telling me that in Ayurveda never makes this distinction. Anything and everything is made from 5 elements, and if your Agni can digest it and if you can use and assimilate it in much better way, it will be towards your benefit. So that is how the initial spark started, but I was not that much hell-bent on understanding alcohol. A time came in my life slowly when in my personal life, which I've already shared in the book, if somebody would, when they read the book, it is completely mentioned there. The first came from my own experimental things and from my patients. So doing a lot of travels in the Himalayas, talking with a lot of clients, a lot of masters, a lot of tribal people. What happened is that they don't share information with you for money. They share information with you if you connect with them on certain levels. It could be like connect with them on food, connect with them on certain, it could be tobacco, it could be anything, So the question what I'm trying to tell here is that when you want to get this knowledge from them, you have to go and eat out of their plate. You cannot say that I don't like your food. So eating this kind of food over a period of time, sleeping at odd hours, doing a lot of things, eventually I started developing something called as uric acids. Eventually over a period of time, it developed into gout. Gout, it was so bad that I couldn't walk, so difficult. And it was a very painful, because anybody who has suffered from gout, they'll understand that it is a very painful disorder. I did not want to take allopurinol because I knew that it causes a lot of blood problems. I was so confident about my herbs that I never took it periodically without a diet. And a time came in my life when I couldn't practically move. I tried a lot of things, but it was getting over things. And that was around the time of the birth of my daughter. And my friend who is in US right now, he was the first person to go to US to live his American dream. He had gifted me a bottle of single malt, Glenmorangie, 18 years. I don't know what it was. So I just kept it thinking it is just a expensive liquor, like you open it for special. You have got no knowledge. You just drink liquor because it is expensive. You have got no knowledge whether it is a blended, a single malt, a whiskey, a vodka, that kind. And you mix it with different kind of juices, Coca-Cola. Indians have a weird habit of drinking with food and everything. Then we also did not have that kind of vision, because alcohol was something which you just drink for stress, like it is not something that you drink as a lifestyle. So I was in too much of pain, and I was having a good life. I was very adamant of not taking any disease, doing any diet. Of course, I couldn't do the diet because continuously experimenting with my herbs, with my practices, and there was a few other things, but time is short. Coming to the point, and I still remember that it was the birth of my first daughter, and I decided that okay, I'm going to give up alcohol and everything and start going to do my diet. But before that, let me enjoy this bottle which my friend has given me. And I was in pain. I didn't want to take painkillers because nothing was acting on me. If nobody should go through the pain of gout. But because it is that hard, if I give an example that somebody has put a burning nail in your joint, heated it over to 60 degrees and told you to run. That's how the pain is. Nothing beats it, not even cancer pains. So that night I took some Glenmorangie. It was raining, so I just put it in my glass, and I don't know what happened. I just drank it neat. And next morning my pain was much better. I did not relate it much to it. I again drank it the next day because I was practically not eating anything. I was just like on my rice water or something because due to uric acid, nothing. I developed a nausea towards me. Again in the night, because my wife was in the hospital, I again drank a little bit of it, not much. Next day the pain was even much better. And I said, fine, I didn't make the correlation about it, but I said, okay, let me just try with it. In the same time, I had these few patients of cancers, we call it geoblastoma. And Shweta will tell my diet is pretty hard. So when they came to me, I told them that doctors had told them you have got very few days to live. So I said, okay, fine, I can't guarantee you anything. Let's do this diet. I'll give you some medications and let's see. So this patient told me that, he was a young guy and he said that I've not drunk anything in my life. I've eaten good food. I've got cancer. I always wanted to have a good life. So I got complete trust in you that your treatment will work. But I also know that my doctor has given me 20, 30 days before things might go bad. So is there any chance that if your treatment doesn't work 2%, at least I'll do your diet, I'll do everything, but at least can I have a drink? And I said, maybe here is a time to experiment. So I told him, okay, you can do this diet, but you have to only drink a single malt because, of course, I had a single malt. It was no rational thinking behind it. And single malts were at that time very expensive to get in India. People always used to drink blends like Chivas Regal, Black Dog. Single malts was not an entity you got in India. No, you really had to look for it, and they were very expensive. But this guy got it because he had nothing to lose. And we started the treatment, and eventually I started seeing a lot of remission in it. Then I started using it with people who had got gout. Of course, I started it myself. I started using it with people who had gout. I started using it with people who had multi-drug resistant TB. And mind it, I never coaxed anyone to drink alcohol. These people were someone who were always drinking, but they did not have awareness towards it. It is not that I told people who are not drinking, start drinking. So before I make this lecture, this is a disclaimer I'm putting that though I'll be discussing about splendid benefits of single malt, it doesn't mean that everybody has to drink it. This lecture is only for people who love drinking and want to create an awareness towards it for long term. So people should not take this lecture in the wrong way. So fine. So when I started doing this, I found this amazing quick results with this alcohol, and the same things which were contraindicated like diabetes, gout, obesity, where people drink beer, people drink vodka, they start gaining weight, they start getting heart problems. I started seeing a reversal. Of course, there was a strict diet towards it, and that started intriguing me of what is difference between the single malt and other things. So as usual, I went to Ayurvedic sources, and because I've got a little bit of memory, I always knew that in Ayurveda it is said that aged liquor and unaged liquor are two opposites. It is said in the Ashtanga Hridaya, that whatever is a new liquor will always cause you a lot of problems. The aged liquor's property must be understood opposite of it. So I said, what? So the aged liquor's properties are not given, but unaged liquor's properties are given. What are the properties? That it causes blockage into the hearts, it causes you heaviness, it causes heat into the body, it causes ulcers, it causes all the things we associate with aged liquor. And then that started my intrigue. I went into the annals of Ayurveda. I started understanding what is the origin of liquor, where exactly liquor comes from. So it is the first thing which is mentioned in the Vedas about Som and Sura. Then eventually how the liquor was created, which I've all mentioned in certain videos from fruits, from grains. Then I understood what were the properties of alcohol which are given. When Charak says that you should drink alcohol to get its maximum benefit, what is the line of use and abuse? What is the methodology, the seasons? I always talk about algorithm. So there were these 8 triads mentioned in Ayurveda of how your body is affected by 3 doshas on your age, your immunity, your food habits, the way you respond to diseases, the seasons, and eventually how your mind is affected by 3. So there are 8 triads. So taking into account this, how exactly you should be creating a profile to drink alcohol. So this thing was understood by me that, okay, I know what is the dietary requirements required to drink alcohol. What is the properties of this unaged liquor and aged liquor? And the third thing was how much quantity I should be drinking. So again, Charak says that you should only drink the quantity till you reach the first stage of alcoholism, because only then you derive its all properties. So then it becomes very clear to me that unless and until you reach or maintain the first stage of alcoholism, it doesn't matter if you drink 60 ml, 30 ml, 120 ml, you're maintaining it. So this all properties started coming to my mind. Then I said, are there any studies done between aged liquor and unaged liquor? So I found it was difficult, but from Harvard, from Japan, from Scotland, I had to search a lot of archives, and I started studying research. So and I am not very much a person who is interested in rat studies. I'm a person who is interested only in human studies, because rat studies do not tell you anything. Human DNA is completely different. So I started seeing a lot of parallel studies done that in obesity, single malt whiskey reduces your weight. It increases heme oxygenase in your body. So it recreates the arteries which are destroyed. It gives you a very good strength to your gut flora. So immunity is increased. It clears the sinuses. It clears your nasal passages. You don't get upper respiratory tract infections. Your digestive power increases because it completely metabolizes food. There is no leftover food. So you're prevented from diseases like diabetes, other kind of disorders. Blood level tests were done between wine and whiskey, which is also published in my book, that when volunteers were fed with wine, aged whiskey and unaged whiskey, how the aged whiskey started increasing antioxidant content, how quickly they were into the blood, how quickly the effects were seen. And my own experiments with my patients over a period of 2-3 years, because I had kept them a diet and followed the same Ayurveda principles, they started getting a lot of it. So that told me that I need to experiment more with myself. And in this project started somewhere around 2000. This now is 2020, right? I don't remember the date exactly. Maybe 2015 or 16. I started using this project. Sourcing the whiskey was very difficult, but I said I need to understand the line between use and abuse. So over a period of 4 years, I drank almost 480 bottles of single malts. I went to Scotland. I met distilleries. I saw the process of whiskey making. All these things have been documented. I created certain educational videos, and eventually it got published into a book. So now this method has been developed, in which people who like drinking alcohol, I educate them on how to drink alcohol, what to eat, what not to eat. Because I feel if a person loves alcohol, then he must be able to drink it as a lifestyle drink for a period of time, but certain restrictions has to be maintained. Secondly, because most of the whiskey is of tannins, how can I use breath so that I can bypass the liver? So I started developing, because I knew a lot of yogic breathing. So I developed a specialized breath to drink it, just to see if I can get the kick quickly right into the brain and bypass the liver. Because when the entire tannins go inside, the alcohol content is inside, when the volatility is more, then what happens? Even though it is soothing for your liver, it is causing some problem. So how exactly can I improvise so that experience is as close to what Maharishi Charak has mentioned in chapter 24 of his Nidan Sthan or Chikitsa Sthan, that how exactly can you derive the best benefits of alcohol, which I think is pretty much apparent in modern world where everyone drinks, everyone needs to have a good, everyone thinks of having a good life, but they are ignorant about it. Some people think because I drink only one drink a week, I'm safe. But no, if that is unaged liquor, it might cause you more problems. Some people say I do binge drinking. I don't drink, but I drink too much. That might cause you problems. Some people will say I drink every day properly, but I'm maintaining my diet. I drink every day, but I don't eat food with it. They will have the maximum benefit. Some people will drink every day in small quantity, but they will have peanuts with it. They will have a problem, because it is not the whiskey, it is the peanuts which is causing the problem. Some people have dry fruits. Some people have, a lot of people. Some people eat while drinking. They again eat after drinking. Some people mix a lot of sodas into drinks just to get that taste. A lot of people drink alcohol has sugary taste. So this was a point which I made to a lot of people, that a lot of the spirits around the world, apart from absolute alcohol or something, have alcohol content around 12%, 13%, but they cause you more problem. Whiskey, minimally single malt whiskey has 40% alcohol to 53% alcohol, and that never causes you a problem. So this is how, this research came about for a lot of people, a lot of my patients who most of the times are end stage people who have nowhere to go. Their life is in like either here or there, but they want to enjoy a good drink. And this education system came from there, and eventually as it spreads between friends, the book was written. I'm now here because Shweta said I should be doing a lecture on it. Maybe some folks are interested. So I said, why not, let's experiment with it, and we'll take some questions. And then after that, as these questions develop at the end, probably I can show you how I drink whiskey. So you can try it with water. It's not like a big deal that everybody has to drink their spirit that way. If everybody has a spirit, I'll show. If not, even if you don't drink it that way, the questions are most welcome, so that somebody takes something from here and their drinking experiences, be stress-free, probably in this lockdown, and it will help them to calm down in a much better way. So I'll just end my short talk here, and probably because it is a different kind, and I don't know from what backgrounds people are coming from. Somebody must be from a medical, non-medical, Ayurvedic. So whatever the questions are, they can ask me, and probably I'll try to answer them.
So if you have any thoughts, questions, things, just unmute yourself and you can go ahead and just ask. Just have to pretend.
So I have a question about the time, about time for drinking.
Okay. So see, the best time, as it said, that because whiskey by nature is, or any alcohol by nature is a little bit warm in nature, but whiskey is soothing for the stomach. You should always drink it in the night. You can drink it anytime in the day if the condition is cold, but eventually when the moonrise happens and the sun sets down. So I always say that if you get up with sunrise, if you follow the protocol properly, you get up by sunrise by 6 and you don't eat after 12 hours by 6 in the evening, then you can start earliest by 8, 8:30 and slowly drink it over a period of time. You can take 30 ml. It should be drunk very slowly over a period of time, 30 ml, 60 ml, till you reach that first stages of alcoholism where you feel stress-free, you're able to talk properly. Once you get into that little bit of high, you speak openly, all your reservations go away. You feel that you can sing, you can talk with people. And eventually you slowly go into a kind of a sleep. You feel drowsy, you feel that you need to crash into the bed. You're very tired. So till those symptoms appear, you should drink. And probably if you do that, you will get a lot of benefits of it. And in the morning, there will be no hangover.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Smith.
Yeah.
Hello, this is Melissa. I have a question. How or what do you feel about using it as a medium for herbs?
Can you just clarify the question with an example so I'll understand it?
So I'm curious because alcohol, it does definitely have medicinal qualities, and it's used in the draksha form in Ayurveda. And because we don't have an industry here in the US for that, how do you feel about people making herbal concoctions with the foundation of a single malt liquor? Like herbal formulations?
Yeah, it is a good question. Now see, if you go to Charak Sahita, because if you have read a little bit of Ayurveda, and I also picked a video on it. So there are 8 forms of liquor preparation methods given. One comes from fruits, one comes with fruits and sugars, one comes from grain, one comes from grain and sugars, one comes from this metallo, herbo, mineral preparations, what we call as asavarishta. And other forms are there, trioni, which comes from honey, jaggery, fermentation processes. Now, if I take a parallel, I'll say, okay, because whiskey is made from barley, then it must be a grain whiskey. But Charak says that each alcohol's only property is to create mad. Mad means a kind of an intoxication. He's not saying it is good or bad. And when he says matkari dravya, he says it could be anyone. Even if you are toxically dependent on your partner, even that is mad. But when he's talking about madhya, anything that causes that dependency is mad. how can we enhance and use those properties? Because what happens when alcohol is there, it is going into the smallest channels of your body and doing its job. So that is the reason asav and aristas earlier were used in Ayurveda, because when people used to make concoctions, the concoction shell life was only 1 day. If you make powders, they used to get deprecated with time. If you made some kind of a tablets, but asav what happened? Because it was a self-generating alcohol. Again, I'm telling you, the alcohol is self-generating to a point. It enhanced the medicinal values of their concoction. So asavs were made, by putting some dry powders, certain things, fermentation like dhaiti pushpa, woodfordia fruticosa. I use a separate method sometimes to create asav arishta by using the mawa flowers. But a lot of people use woodfordia fruticosa. They put sugars, they put certain types of spices. And over a period of 1 month, 2 months, by self-generating alcohol, it is preserving the already medicinal content. So asav becomes of powders. Most time aristas, instead of the powders, we use the concoctions, or vice versa. I might not be remembering properly. And some people. So that is an entirely different concept where you're using the alcohol medium to take a particular dosages and get into your body. So those asav aristas have a particular dosages. Now, when you use, why cannot we use single malt for it? So see, again, we have to come from the Charak Sahita. If there were already other base alcohol available, which were easy to make, if you see grain alcohol or rice alcohol, it is very easy to make. You don't require any much rocket science to make an alcohol from rice. You just have to ferment it and rice alcohol. That was the oldest form of liquor which we see in tribe. They could have very well used that alcohol and put herbs in it. So this was a specialized process with proper combination of lot of things, which they understood is only going to use the quick penetrating methodology of alcohol to make that dosage, to make that medicine reach the point of action. Now, when we come on to single malt alcohol, single malt in itself is a sanskarit alcohol. It is an aged alcohol. Why? Because if you see alcohol, it is whatever alcohol we drink is ethanol. Any alcohol you drink, it is ethanol. So if you see my videos, before single malt whiskey, how it is made? It is made from barley, water, and peat. So barley and water is mixed, and you create this mixture. Then the barley is smoke dried with peat to create a malt, and then it is mixed with yeast and water to create something, a fermented mixture, of which the water is removed and the sludge is taken away, which is given to small people. It is distilled, and that thing what we got is equivalent to beer. After this distilled alcohol, what we get when we put it into oak barrels, what it does, it starts over a period of time taking the tannins, the properties of oak barrel. So I'm making a very important point. Before it is transferred into an oak barrel, even though it is called as aqua vita whiskey, it has got no medicinal properties. It is just distilled beer. So if you drink that, you're going to get a lot of problems. Now, where is the medicinal quality coming from? The medicinal quality is coming from that moment it is transferred into an oak barrel, and minimum for 3 years, it is aged. What it is happening? It is removing the tannins from oak barrels. Again, here the specialized in single malt whiskey is that these oak barrels are not new. They have been already used to create bourbon whiskeys, rum, port wine, sherry wine. Then these barrels are imported back to Scotland. They are gone through a lot of processes where inner scraping is done so that the surface area is made available for the whiskey to draw the tannins, to draw the flavors. And in this, what happens? Thousands of phenolic compounds are created, congeners, what we call. Prime of them is called ellagic acid, which I'm talking about is the prime one to give all these benefits. So when this single malt whiskey is formed, again, there are a lot of procedures. You have to put it 12 years, 13 years. So it becomes a very expensive commodity. Once it becomes an expensive commodity, it is come to your house. It itself has got its medicinal properties. So if you, let us say that you take a powder and you put single malt whiskey with it, or you will say, okay, I've created a concoction like asav arishtam and I put it in a single malt whiskey. You're serving no purpose, because what is happening, it is not going to extract anything more from it. It is just going to saturate the content. Even if you filter it afterwards, there might be interreaction, because whatever the tannins are there in that alcohol are already oxidized. Because what is happening, the surface area of oak, oxygenation happens, and these phenolic compounds happen with a process called as oxidation. Once that whiskey is bottled, the process of oxidation is gone, because the moment you open a whiskey and oxygen again goes ahead, it's going to get deprecated. Wine, you have to, that is the same thing with wine, but wine you have to finish it off with a few times. Whiskey with a proper seal, you can go on for 5 months, 6 months, but eventually it will evaporate because it is alcohol. So this is the prime reason I should think that why single malt whiskey should not be used. Again, I'll end my question to give you a little bit clarity. You must have heard about brands like Blue Label, Chivas Regal. These are blended whiskeys. So what are this? These are the combination of two single malt whiskeys. Again, I'm saying that you should not be drinking blended whiskeys. Forget about combining herbs in a whiskey. What I'm saying that even if you get a premium blend, I'm not saying it is a good whiskey, but if you have to invest in a whiskey for health, that blended whiskey is still not going to give you the same result. Why? Because out of that blend, it could be a blend of 2 whiskeys, 3 whiskeys, 4 whiskeys. Each whiskey must have been prepared in the same way. Yet when they get combined, different congenious mix. So you're not getting that still taste, that still oxidation taste to enhance it. So so some people use vodka, some people use absolute alcohol to extract herbs, create a tincture out of it. I think so that is fine, people can do. Secondly, if you cannot create alcohol from it, distillation process with volatile waters you can use. And basically Asa Varistam I think is a very specialized process, because it is not just the alcohol or something, you're creating a kashayam. So there is no alcohol. You're just putting the yeast in form of Woodfordia fruticosa. You're putting lot of sugars in it in terms of good. You're putting lot of spices. And here the alcohol is getting self-generated, and whatever is getting self-generated, you're filtering and you're drinking. What is happening in whiskey? After the fermentation has occurred, you're aging it. And the medicinal values comes from that aging. So the process of fermentation is already done in an alcohol. So you're not going to get the same effect of Asam and Arista. Because when we do Asam and Arista, what we do is that we burn a wick inside it is created. If it is burning, then oxygen is still there. If it is dead, then we understand that Asam and Arista is created. So this is a very specialized process, and the concept of Asav Arista and the concept of tinctures of the same herbs in pure alcohol are completely different. They might give you medicinal properties, but they are not the same as Asav Arista. And I think that is the reason this should not be replicated. Forget about whiskey, any other alcohol. I hope that in a nutshell, a little bit answers your question.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was really good. Thanks.
Dr. Sumit, Ayurveda and a lot of all of our ancient wisdoms, it's all about maximum well-being with maximum pleasure, right? And so you spoke about certain restrictions when you were speaking earlier. So with the certain restrictions connected with the awareness of drinking, what are certain of these lifestyle and diet kind of habits that will allow drinking with awareness?
See, I'll tell you my thought processes behind it. First of all, do you like drinking? So I say, okay, fine, I like drinking. I love the idea of drinking. You have to be honest with yourself. So if you like drinking, then the drink what you're putting inside, it is going to give you a particular joy. That is a different thing. But again, it is going inside your body. So it is going to create a metabolic response. So if you only do it for joy, then sometimes that metabolic response is going to catch up with you and you have to stop drinking it, or it is going to cause you addiction. So what Vedic sciences say that everything is made from 5 elements. Some things are fast acting, some things are slow acting, some things cause dependency in the long run, some things give you independence, whatever. So what are the first properties of alcohol? So first, as I said, that we have to first decide what kind of an alcohol we are drinking. So let us say, if you agree with my thought process, whatever arguments I have given, that aged alcohol is better. So which aged alcohol? So we only know that this aged alcohol, which we know is 12 years, 13 years, 14 years maturity, and got strict guidelines. So many studies have done, fits your bill. Now, even though it is an aged alcohol, it has got a lot of tannins and everything, yet it is alcohol. So it will have its properties. What are its properties? Then it is Ushna, means it is going to cause heat into the body. It is going to release an enzymatic response. It is going to aid digestion, because if it puts acid, it's going to aid digestion. It is going to completely go over your body very quickly. You're going to get the effects very quickly. So it is affecting the nervous system. Slowly, if your sinuses are opening, you're getting a good clearance. It is going to act on your immune system, on your lungs, on your sinuses. So we understand this thing is active. Now, how I can use this, drink this to my satisfaction, yet get the benefits of it. So for that, I have to plan. How do I plan? Get up on time, eat on time. Whatever food you eat, we know that digestion starts after 2 hours. I made this dincharya thing in few of my previous lectures, that you eat in the morning, eat in the evening, and digestion, the process of cleansing starts 2 hours after you eat. So if you eat by 6, by 8, 8:30, the process of digestion is starting. Acids are secreting. So that time, if you drink slowly, what is happening? The more enzymatic response is secreting, because alcohol will go into the channels of liver and going to secrete that pepsin 10 times more. The old alcohol doesn't secrete pepsin. The new alcohol, sorry, doesn't secrete pepsin. The moment it goes, it swells the liver cells. This soothes the liver cells. Why? Because it got the tannins. It has got this ellagic acid, xanthine oxidase, which is going to secrete pepsin. So if you drink slowly afterwards, it is going to break down your food properly. It is going to give you a digestive response. Eventually, when you start drinking, digestion occurs. You start getting that feeling that you can talk. The body is becoming warm. You understand your nervous system is getting activated. Your brain is getting activated. It has a favorable effect on the kidney. And that time you will start feeling a little bit drowsy. I'm saying the drowsiness which comes from beer and other alcohol, even if you drink and you get up, even if you drink it in the afternoon, you'll feel like very heavy body. Wake up, you will want to sleep back again. I'm not talking about hangover. Hangover is something which you go with the head. Simple, even if you drink any other alcohol, you drink and you go to sleep. When you come up, you'll feel this heaviness into your body. You don't want to get up. You don't want to do anything. With this liquor, the moment that sleep sets in, you'll know it is a sleep when we are absolutely tired and we just want to crash into the bed. You leave it then and there. You go to sleep. The next morning, you'll see your constipation is gone. Your sinuses are clear. Your urine is proper. You're not swelled up into the body. You're waking up fresh. Now, imagine if you do this every day properly. You're getting the benefits of alcohol because it is completely moving into your system, yet you're not crossing the limit. So it is something which is quick acting, but yet you're taming it for your own benefit. And when you go on drinking out of arrogance, I can drink, then it is destroying your system. So some things are, in Ayurveda, it is said some things are quick acting, some things are slow acting, some things act in conjunction with others. So for anything to imbibe into your body over a period of time, you require a diet. A simple dincharya, eating time. Now, if you're staying in a cold environment, your benefit will be more because it is a cold environment. If you're staying in a hot environment, you should see that if you like drinking whiskey, stop eating sour food, stop eating salty food, stop eating sugary food, which is going to create more acid into your system. So once you start doing it, you can enjoy it. Why I made the disclaimer before starting the lecture is that drinking is a very specialized art. You have to really like the idea of drinking. If you're doing it just as a social gesture once or twice a week, it doesn't make a difference. But if you're drinking every day, you like the idea of drinking, you'll feel good about it. Then you have to cultivate some discipline towards it. So for me, if I like the idea of drinking, what is the best drink I can put into my body, irrespective of the price? I say it is a single malt whiskey. How can I get the most benefit from it? By following a particular diet. What is that particular diet? Is cutting out certain things from my system. Why? Because I like the idea of drinking. And I want to sustain it over a period of time. Now, this can be with anything, right? If you want to do a sadhana or if you want to do a puja, if you really love that idea, you're going to create a discipline to do it. So anything is not separate from it. If you like meat and you want to eat a particular kind of meat, you have to develop your body to digest that taste. So you have to leave something else. And this is a quotient Ayurveda tells you that you can coexist with anything, provided you are following the rules of nature, provided you are understanding the constituency, the consistency of the thing which you're putting into your body. You're not compromising on quality, and you are being honest when you have got the maximum benefit. So, for me, when I started drinking, I started telling people about this. People used to call me to their houses to drink. But what happened? I know how much I drink from my glass. When I go to someone else's house, they have got a different glass. So quantity might be more. So to be precise, I started carrying my glass. So you have to be very much precise with the idea of drinking. You're going to your friend's house. they are buying you some liquor. If you know that your liquor is not going to do, you carry a little bit of your liquor. Why? Because you have to understand you're going there to enjoy with friends. When everybody is drunk, it's still ethanol into their body. Your friends are drunk, you're drunk, it is ethanol. But what kind of ethanol you have put into your body will make your next day more effective. So, when this awareness comes, drinking becomes, a healthy experience. When this awareness is not there, it will cause you problems. And this awareness, everyone should develop eventually when they think drinking is a part of their life. People who don't want to drink, I still recommend they should not go that way unnecessarily. I'm not recommending it. But those people who already drink and want to enjoy a good drink, it could be anything. This kind of awareness, if they develop, eventually, hopefully, it would be better for them.
Thank you. Other questions, thoughts?
Hi there, Dr. Sumit. I poured myself an 18-year-old Glenlivet.
I can see you, man. I should see you. To how will I know what
Video on Nakul.
Okay, I'm a little slow with this technology. Give me a minute. My question, while I try to figure this out, is all right. I think there's some error message I'm getting, but I'm going to work on it.
You can be appreciated.
I've been trying. For many years now with family, friends, and solo as well. Most of the time, solo. I've enjoyed single malts.
Great.
And, so my somehow, I mean, the tendency has been to drink. Perhaps this started just observing how it was in my family with my father and grandfather. That drink was always had before dinner.
Right.
It was not after dinner as a as a cordial after dinner. It's always
right.
So somehow I got into that habit. Do you have any thoughts on the post and pre part? I know you probably alluded to that in what you were saying, but I didn't get.
But I know I know where you're coming from, because there's a tendency with a lot of people that when we drink, acid increases, then we should eat. Now, if you want to not get caught on the breath analyzer with the police, it is a good idea, but it doesn't make any much differences with it. See, what happens is that the concept of drinking varies from family to family. No one has got an educative approach to drinking. I picked it up from gentlemen in Scotland. When I traveled to highlands, inside, untouched places, I traveled. I went to few people's house. I always saw that they will have their dinner early, and they will sit by the fireplace with a glass of scotch. This tendency I never see anywhere. Even if you go out in a bar and you yourself are into the hotel industry, a lot of people will eat and then come for drinks. But it is only our culture in India, we will drink, we'll eat with drinking, then again we'll eat. And again, to take over the hangover, we'll take a beer. So, that culture, that thing, comes from arrogance. That thing comes from the state that, no, we can digest the food. It is not giving you any benefit. Because, first of all, as I said, what kind of a drink you're drinking. So let us say, for argument's sake, you're still drinking single malts. You have eaten your food in the morning, you have not eaten in the evening anything, you just drink it. It is already sunrise. What is happening? Your acid is already secreted into the system because the food has to come there. You put liquor on it. So what is happening? You're secreting more acid, and then you're putting food on it. So that acid is already becoming corrupted. When everything comes into your house, then you're going to secrete the right acid, right? To digest. Or you're going to say, my oil is already hot, put something inside. So you decide while cooking, how exactly you use the oil. If you have got this, you see this in India, roadside, they overcook the oil and then they put something inside it. And in your house, once the oil is warm, you cook and then you remove the oil. And then again, slowly you add a little bit of oil or something as required. You eat that thing and you eat from the roadside. The roadside one will taste better, but it will cause you acidity and flatulence. The home thing, what you eat, because there's just little bit of difference you have made, it will digest much better. Same thing happens with whiskey. I'm talking just about single malt whiskey. If you're drinking beer, vodka, it doesn't make a difference. You drink now or you drink afterwards, it is still going to cause you a problem. But let us just stick to single malt whiskey, that if you drink it 2 hours after dinner, you can drink it 2 hours after lunch also. But because Charak says that you should drink it in the evening, when naturally there is no heat, because sun is like a dissipating energy. It is dehydrating you. Even if you go into a place where it is not that hot, yet with the sun, the body opens up its system. With the moon, the body is slowly closing the system. So what is happening in the evening when you eat food, and then just before the moon is about to close the system, you put whiskey into it, then what happens? That closure happens completely, the digestion happens properly. In the morning, the system is open, so there is no dearth of acid. That is the reason why when you drink, let us say you start drinking at 6, 7, 8, you're already with the acid. After that, you'll eat food at 9, 10. What is going to happen next day? That food is not going to get digested, acid is going to get created, and you start going to get reflux. Eventually, a heartbeat is going to increase. All the things will happen. And just if you do these small changes, which I'm telling you from my clinical experiences, these small changes. You eat in the evening by 6. After the moon comes by 7:38, you take yourself a 60 ml drink. Drink it very slowly. Slowly, sip by sip, which I'll show you now. Very slowly. You will say, oh no, I want to slowly, 5 ml, 10 ml. Just absorb. Within 5, 10, 20 minutes, you'll start getting this lightness. That is the first stage. And then you have to just maintain it for as much time. I'll tell you, if you develop this method, I've drunk through the night 60, 70, 80 ml just to maintain that method as an experiment. And the moment you get slurring of speech, then you understand that you have entered second stage, you're not getting any benefits. But yet, if it is a single malt, yet you will be, if you err on the better side. So, this awareness must come. People who have accustomed to drinking develop this, and therefore they are best at it. It is just like a person whose tongue in a coffee tasting profile is insured for millions of dollars. Why? Because he has understood the benefit of how exactly he could do it. And that is something which I always tell, that if you are a fan of single malt, first get rid of the habits, eat on time, cut salt, fermented product from your food. If you want to drink alcohol, stop fermented products like dosa, idli, all this fermented product, don't put into your body. Why? Because if you ferment, then it is going to cause you problem. So single malt is a very specialized drink. It gives you the benefit of health, what 20, 50, 70 herbs or protocols cannot give you in 10 years. You'll get it in 6 months. Why? Because I've treated cancer patients with it, so I'm telling you. But it has got specialized protocol. It is like something which you need to learn in a very precise way to enhance into your system. You just cannot drink it because you can afford it. And that is what the problem happens. We think that because it is an expensive liquor, it must be better. So liquor is liquor, but how exactly you imbibe it is important. I hope that little bit answers the question.
Yes, thanks.
Yeah.
Just one more quick question on the idea of, I remember in Scotland also, when at the Glenlivet distillery, they suggested some water, room temperature water with it to dilute it. And most of the time, that's how I have it. I don't have it neat, I dilute it. Any thoughts on that combination?
See, it depends upon how that is something for the flavored people. What happens, because the whiskey when you pour inside, sometimes there are some kind of a fruity, nutty aromas. That was single malt also, you should be select from which region the whiskey comes for more health benefits. So, some regions, they just mar it with sweet wine and all, like why Macallan is so expensive, because it is the largest producer of sherry wines. Why? Because it doesn't sell it. It requires the barrels. So when they put inside it, it gets a sweety aroma, a nutty aroma, a fruity aroma. So sometimes, because your nose cannot appreciate those aromas, you put with a drop of water to release it. Some people put ice and drink it just for the taste on the rocks. So that is something you develop as a taste, because when you go to distilleries, it is all about taste. No one has done extensive research on health. So it is for taste. It is like how you go to wine and they'll tell you to swirl it, do it. So I think so that we should only leave it to this. For me, the basic option is that if the whiskey is very overwhelming, let us say 43, 44%, 47%, I'll put a little bit of drop of water in it, or maybe I'll just put a dash of ice. So once I put a dash of ice, I'll just let it go and I'll just drink it the way it is. So it doesn't make a difference for me, because you're not like you're putting all the ice you have in a refrigerator. Some people dilute the whiskey with water and soda. You're losing the quotient, because the moment the whiskey's dilution goes below 40%, the tannins start breaking. And you don't want that. You want those ellagic acid, you want that xanthine oxidase to go into your system as it is meant. So develop the habit of drinking whiskey slowly and surely. Eventually, when you start selecting different brands, certain brands are more smokier, like Lafroig and all, more smokier because they smoke the malt with peat. Some people air dry their malt, like Glenogine and all. So you won't find the smokiness. Some distilleries, just to get that consumer thing, blend the whiskey in different casks. They'll prepare it in bourbon cask and then they will age it in sherry cask, port cask, rum cask. So you'll come to know this is a sweet whiskey. So once you start getting more into it, you will know your profile. Again, I'm saying it has got nothing to do with price. A healthy whiskey can be as cheap as $29. A pathetic whiskey can be as high as $1,000. It has got nothing to do with, you have to be, because in my research, I have written that, when prohibition was going in America, 1913 to 1923, only whiskey which was allowed inside was Lafroig. Why? Because people thought it acted on thyroid. So that is a reality. Only Lafroig was allowed to be imported, nothing else. So whenever I do my whiskey, little bit of unboxing videos for fun, I always put a health quotient. Whether this is to be, whether you can put it for long term, whether it is value for money, whether it is going to affect on your health. Today this COVID is going, few people, I'm also telling, if I'm drinking this properly over a period of time, it is very less chances that I'll get the infection, or I'll get very quickly out of it, because it is not going to make any phlegm remain into my body. There is no sinus infections. When I used to say earlier, people used to be iffy. Now, if you see the latest result, it has said that, scientists have identified cells in the nose which respond to the virus. So these nose cells will tell whether you will get high infection or low infection. These nose cells are completely related epithelial cells to your sinusitis cells, lung cells, ACA cells. Just the paper was released. I was having a talk with doctor and I was telling him why whiskey works, why single malt whiskey works, because it is immunity promoting. It is called as creamy her. Creamy her means it is not going to put any pathogens into your system. But just if you drink it, nothing is going to happen. You have to create a medium for it to work on your immunity. And that is the reason, if you drink this whiskey like this, you eat something, you drink, initially 2-3 days, you will find acidic. You'll start feeling much hungry after drinking whiskey. It is a good thing. Why? Because it is becoming digestive. But if you go and, I'm feeling very hungry, I go and eat a toffee, you're killing its effect. And this, when you slowly develop, you'll have a sustained response with whiskey. I'm telling you that I drank 480 on the record, I'm telling you, in 4 years. There will be more. And when I did my blood work, I thought I'll require another liver. Nothing was there. So that is a testament. 480 bottles of whiskey in 4 years is crazy amount. I'm talking neat whiskey. I'm not even talking diluted with water. So this will tell you how great this product is, because it requires a lot of investment, a lot of precision. Even the barrels who make, they have to undergo an apprenticeship of 7 years. It is not something which you can prepare anywhere. As opposed to Irish whiskey, which is distilled 3 times, that will cause you a problem because it is very sweet. If you have drunk Jameson, if you have drunk any Irish whiskey, you'll come to know Kilbage and you'll get an issue. Japanese whiskey, you'll get a problem. Aluminium stills, though Japanese whiskey single malts are more expensive than Scotch, you'll get issues. There are Swedish whiskeys. A lot of people make whiskeys. In India also, single malt whiskey is made in Paul John. Those are good because it is a tropical climate. You can experiment with them. But as long as you start drinking it in a much better way, taking into consideration your environmental requirements, it will give you benefit. If you stay in a colder environment, the more the benefit you will get. If you stay in an environment like us in Mumbai, humid, I can't drink in summers. I can't drink in winter. I can only drink in rainy seasons sometimes when it rains crazy. Or I can drink sometimes between, when I become very happy, when November end comes till March, that is the time I can drink whiskey because it becomes cold. Your temperature, the humidity goes away. The temperature cools down. So you have to, but if I like drinking whiskey, I have to be also responsible to see that the moment April comes in Mumbai, I have to stop drinking. And when you start having this kind of, or occasionally, if you like something of 20 ml, 30 ml, just for benefit, if you drink it, it is fine. Then you sometimes put on the aircon, drink it, it's fine. You have to be a little bit clever about it. So if you like drinking, these are the habits slowly but surely cultivate. Remove certain food items from your body. You'll be so beneficial that you'll see a lot of your heart problems, this problem start reversing. Blood pressure goes down, arteries plasticity goes down, plaques go down. Why? And your medications will go down. But then it has to be. And I think if people like drinking, this is diabetes, heart problems, the doctors are the first people to tell you stop drinking. And people can't stop drinking. So for those people, if you drink it in this way, become the awareness of the chances of being on the health will be much better than, reaching a point and then, restricting yourself to few drinks, few units a week. And that becomes a problem.
Thank you.
Maureen, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, just in regards to being diabetic, like, is there any side effects? I mean, like, does it increase your sugar because there's sugar in the malt?
There is no sugar in the malts. That is the one thing. Why? Because in single malts, there is no sugar. Beer, vodka, wine have got complex sugars. Even fruits have got complex sugar. Single malt whiskey will in fact help you with your diabetes. Again, as I said, with respect to if you follow the diet properly.
So how do you know if it's a single malt? For example, like I have this one.
That is a Ballantine, that is a blended. So single malt whiskey, I'll show you. It will be very specifically written here. It will be written single malt whiskey. It will be written how much age. Even if it is written blended, you should not pick it up. If it is written single malt whiskey, then probably it has got very specific this. I've got, Shweta has put up certain videos where I've told how exactly you can find out. Single grain is different from single malt. Blended whiskey and blended scotch is different. Blended whiskey can be a blend from anywhere, from one country, another country. So I can create a scotch in India. I can get one from Scotland. I can mix it. That is blended whiskey. Blended scotch like Shiva Segal will be a blend of 2 single malts or 4 single malts from the same country. So these things Scotland has made very specific. So for single malt whiskey, it has to be aged minimum 3 years. It has to be made in Scotland. It has to be bottled in Scotland.
See, my family, we have a story that's passed down the generations. My father tells the story of his grandfather that came from India to South America. And every evening when he came home from the farm, I guess he'd get home by 4 or 5 o'clock from walking, I don't know how many miles. He'd have 1 shot of whiskey before he eats every day. It's a story that only like 1 shot.
So there is a lot of stories. Winston Churchill was suffering from 4-stage cancer and somebody told him to be on the sea, drink only whiskey from Islay and he'll get cured. And he got cured. He did the thing for 1 year. So, there are a lot of things which are mentioned in my video. If you see, I've collected legends from Scotland. Whiskey was a part of their birthing. When the child was born, just to shape the nose, they used to put whiskey on it.
Wow.
So there are a lot of things like that which were done. And that is the reason, we live with these legends, but we have to understand the importance of it. Legends are there to make the stories fun. But if you don't understand the hidden meaning in it, and we have to adapt to the geographical conditions we stay in. Earlier in your grandfather's time, conditions were hard. There was a lot of labor work. You used to go out. Food was getting digested. So whiskey was like a stress reliever. That time also, if you see, single malt whiskey was not formed. People had only 1 glass bottle. So they used to bring this whiskey and store it in a barrel. And they had only 1 glass bottle. Glass was expensive during World War II. So single malt whiskey did not start just because somebody thought barrels will have something. They used to bring this unaged alcohol. People used to die with that alcohol. But what happened in a house, there was not too much storage. There was 1 glass bottle which was shared. So they used to bring liquor, put it in the barrel, keep it there. Then somebody used to take a little bit, drink. And eventually what happened, because it stayed there, it started getting aged. 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. Taste started changing, profile started changing. And eventually the concept of single malt whiskey came. It was not something people just got it, no, I need to age it. So this concept slowly developed over a period of time due to economic disparities. Once people started understanding this concept, they started making these distilleries in the early 19th century, and eventually it has developed to a point now. And because it was an expensive, single malts were very expensive because a lot of time malts were created to mix, which is cheap. You get You get blends, it is cheap because a expensive and a cheap whiskey is blended for mass production. In single malt whiskey, what happens, it is very less because volume to economy ratio is a little bit jaded. People don't buy that much expensive. If something is a part of your day-to-day life, like in Scotland, you're going to go for something which is affordable, right? You're not going to give something which is expensive. But slowly the class, people started understanding its benefits. People started developing this. The locust in France was a very epidemic in France was a contributing factor that it wiped up all the wine. And so the English people wanted whiskey, some liquor, because there was no sale of wine from France and Spain. Some disease had occurred in that year. So this whiskey started going into the British markets. Eventually the taste developed, the economy developed. And this is how, so it is not just that because it is medicine. But if you go to the traces of whiskey, it starts from something called as aquavita, which was an alchemical distillation done by the monks of Ireland and picked up by Scotland. So this is the history, how it comes. How it is developed over a period of time, we understand. We take the algorithmic concepts of Ayurveda to apply what is the best liquor. But because it is the best liquor doesn't mean that it is going to give you benefit. You have to develop a pathway to enhance it. So if you are a diabetic, follow a good diet under a dietitian. Eat at specific time, whatever the recommendations I've given in the book or the video, and try drinking. If you drink little single malt, 30 ml, 40 ml till the first stage of alcoholism. If you start doing it with proper this, check your blood sugar levels, check how your body's weight and everything, insulin resistance is going. If you find the answers, continue. But blended whiskeys are sugar bombs. They cause more load on the system, and they work opposite to aged whiskey. And that is what I said in the Ayurveda Shastra. It is written that liquor is bad, which the new liquor, all the properties of it are given. And one is a gudhartha, what we say, what we have to understand. With one word it is said, the aged liquor is opposited. So when you understand it is opposited, it contains all the good properties of what is not found in the new liquor. So any liquor like rum, which is not aged a little bit, will cause you issues. Things like cognac are good benefits, but I am not researched on cognac, so I cannot talk over it. But I can talk over single malts because this is the one malt which I have experimented with over a period of 5 years. So I'll say this is aged, it will be fine. There are other forms of aged liquors. Rum is also aged, but it contains a lot of sugars. Bourbon whiskey is also aged, but it contains a lot of sugars because it is caramelized. So here there is nothing added. In whiskey, it is just water, peat, barley, and sometimes 150A caramel color is added just to maintain the batch profile, because one should not look lighter than the other. But some people do it, some people don't do it. It's each one's choice. So as you research, you understand your profile, you understand your taste, you big handband on it, you drink it properly over a period of time, it definitely gives you the benefit.
Any other questions before we go into the part where Dr. Sumit teaches us how to drink it?
Like apart from dosa and salt, what other foods to avoid while starting to?
The same thing which I told in all my other lectures, get on time, sleep on time, eat 2 meals a day, cut away sugars. If it comes in forms of fruits or anything, don't have it, because unless and until you get fresh fruits, don't have it. Don't compromise on fresh food. Cook it in a nice way. Do not put salty or sour food like tomatoes and all while cooking. Restrict it. So once you start developing that need for food and you start drinking whiskey, then it will give you the benefits. If you overload your system with sour foods, even if you take a lot of refined sugar, it turns sour. It causes acidity, it causes bloating. Then it will help you, but it might not contribute to long-term health. See, there is a difference between medicine and rasayan, what you call, one which promotes your health. Whiskey can act as both. So sometimes I go out, it's inevitable, I have to eat food at someone's place. I'll use whiskey as a digestive. I'll just drink it so I know tomorrow I'll have a good bowel movement. So I know that. But that is not why I should be drinking it. I should, if I want the benefits from it, then I should be clever enough to understand that this should add to my system. Occasional aberrations are fine. So that way you slowly build on it, eat on 2 times a day, stick to your diet, get up early in the morning, do not eat after sunset. Wherever you are, 12 hours, if you get up at 6, after 6 you should not eat. And after 2 hours, when your system is closing down, when the moonlight is there, just take a glass of whiskey slowly, as I said, 30 ml, 20 ml, drink over a period of time till the first stage of alcoholism sets in. Who's all the videos Shweta will share, all details are there, or the book is there. You can go through it. And once you start studying it, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, you will get a gist of it. So again, I said, if you're not drinking, do you require to drink it? No. This is only for people who love drinking but want to create awareness about it, of how in Ayurveda anything can be used as medicine with the right protocol.
Thank you.
So the videos that that Whiskey Baba is referring to is in the chat box, so folks can take a note of that. It's on, yes, so many channels. It's on your Dr. Sumit. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Dr. Sumit channel, and there is one on whiskey, but that is in local language, so I'll just recommend this because it is an educational.
Yeah.
So only the educational part is put there. Yeah.
Great. So let's
Let's
go into the practice.
Yeah, so you can pour. Anybody is there. I can't see anyone. Only me and you. So Nakul Bhai is not there.
Maureen, are you still there?
So this is not like a technique everybody should be doing it. It is just something which I drink with it. It's a little bit, it's a little bit drinky. So I think I'll recommend people first start it with water. Take some water and start it. And then probably you can practice home with the whiskey, because otherwise it can become very overwhelming. So the concept behind this is a very powerful breath which we use in our practice. This is just a modified bit of it, so that you get the full benefit of whiskey and cut out its bad thing. Alcohol, what we say is, I've named it over my small daughter's fame, so I call it that breath. But the thing is that whiskey is loaded with a lot of tannins, congeners, as I said, in alcohol. So the moment you put it into your body, just if you gulp it down, then nothing is happening. It is going down and liver has to do all the work. But the moment you put it inside, you swish it, what happens? The saliva is getting mixed with the whiskey. So there the cough, everything is sending biochemical responses to the brain, what is coming inside. So it creates a necessary environment. Then with the breath, as I said, that you hold it here, I'll tell you the breath, and you have to exhale while drinking down. So what happens? Because you have to hold the breath, there is a negative feedback. So the air becomes warm. So when you're drinking it, the warmness goes, it hits the tannin to the brain and only the liquid goes down. So a lot of volatility is broken down. The alcohol is broken down and it goes to the liver. So the compound which sometimes gets created very fast, which puts load on the liver, is called acetaldehyde. It forms after a period of time. So it comes with perfection. So I always tell people, you have to first inhale, then exhale completely. So there is no air inside. Once there is no air inside, just take a little bit of whiskey. You can take water. Just take 10 ml. Don't take much. We have to and don't exhale. The moment it hits your throat, just exhale. So it should be very synchronized. When you are swishing into the mouth, you should use the tongue. Do not use the cheeks. So if you start with it, you'll see that a warm air is going down. The more you can retain your breath and the slowly you exhale, the more benefits you will get. Your brain will go straight away. The brain goes into a kind of a alpha wave. It relaxes, de-stresses. So it is a very specialized breathing technique we use in higher practices. It is just curtailed for this so that anybody who wants to drink it properly can get the benefits in the short time. So again, I'll say that you have to inhale, exhale, then take something into the mouth, swish it, and gulp it. The moment it hits here, hold and exhale. As you exhale, slowly the drink will go down. Because it is 20 ml, it is not going to enter your windpipe. So no need to worry. So once you start developing this slowly over a period of time, you can then try it with your whiskey. Again, I'll tell that those people who think that whiskey is bad, it smells, it's very strong. If they start with this, they get benefit. I've seen this benefit with a lot of women. Women don't tend to drink hard drinks, whiskey and all. They generally tend to go towards sugary drinks like, vodka, tasteless drinks, mix it. So when you give them a neat whiskey, 43%, 44%, you know. But if they start with the breast, I'll assure you, they'll only drink this and it is more beneficial for their body. First 2-3 days, it tastes like crap because it is this. But once you develop that process, because the beauty of single malt whiskey lies in fractions. You don't have to gulp it like a lot of people do. You have to drink it fraction by fraction, fraction by fraction, fraction by fraction. And slowly that biochemical taste blends in your brain. The brain relaxes. The same thing what happens in yogic breath, what happens in tantric breath, it is the same thing. The only thing you're enhancing your experiences. There are practitioners who use a little bit of alcohol in their breathing practices. If they use this practice also, they'll see the differences. But again, I said diet, discipline, everything have to be maintained. So again, I'll tell you, so this has to be a seamless process. Not every time that you have to show everyone you're inhaling and exhaling. This is just, I'm telling you for demonstration. So, you know, if I have to drink, I'll just, nothing is there. Hold. So you'll see through the nose, all the tannins will come out. The flavor will come out. It'll hit your breath. It will irritate your lacrimal glands. You know, it clogs, opens up the clog spore because there is a negative feedback. And slowly it will start enhancing your system. Will start getting the taste. In between, if you feel very dry, you know, a little bit of water is fine. And once you have done, you have reached that state. After that, if you want to put a dash of ice and all, you can do it. So, what is Nakul? I think he's written something.
He's saying, from your experience, which nostril should be fully functioning, or do you suggest both be fully on?
Both. If you do it properly, both will be fully functional. So mine is always, both are fully functional because of my breathing patterns. But if one is clogged, it doesn't matter. You know, inhale with one and exhale with one. Eventually, both will come. You don't have to first force both nostrils. Whatever is there, inhale and exhale. The process is important. You inhale completely, exhale out. You take very little fraction, like 10 ml, 5 ml, swish it till it is little warm. Don't do it vigorously. Slowly, you know, like style, just no one should know that you're swishing. As soon as you're gulping and it hits your Adam apple, hold it. The drink will automatically go down. This. So if you develop this breath in drinking any beverage, you know, you'll see that you're not over drinking also. You're drinking only the fractions. Slowly, slowly the taste builds on you. So this is a method which I have practiced over a period of time in drinking because I travel a lot. Sometimes I don't get food, but I have to drink. So it doesn't cause me a system issue. So that is something which I've developed. I don't know how much contributing factors it will be, but eventually, even if you develop it just for a profile, it will make your drinking experience much better. You will drink less quantity and probably save some bucks on this expensive malt. That is again incentive for people, because what happens, this gives you the kick in a very short time, a sustained kick. So you know, now like this is only 10 ml, 20 ml, but if I can drink this for half an hour and this will be enough. But if the same thing, if I start drinking normally, you know, slowly, I'll be drinking 2 or 3. So this gives you that benefit that in small amounts you are getting the maximum health, the maximum brain benefit, because eventually what has to secrete and what has to not has to come from the brain. And this trains the brain to understand what your cocktail process is. So this is one thing which I use in my journey in yogic practices or whatever, just as a enhancer. I'm not again saying recommending anyone you start with liquor. There are a lot of other things you can go with. But if somebody is investing his time in having a good time with liquor, please consider this lecture and think over it about your diet, everything. The details of it are already mentioned in the video and the book. You can go through it. And there is also an ebook available. Not necessarily you require a print copy. Ebook is much cheaper because it is self-published, so print copy might be a little bit expensive. It's not that expensive anyways, but the ebook is much cheaper. And you can read it. It is one of the only research is done in the world. No one has done this much exhaustive work on single malt whiskey, Ayurveda, and health. So probably go through it, right from the annals of whiskey making to the legends, what I was talking about, to Ayurvedic literature. Eventually, everything is given. Only this breath is not explained because it is a demonstrable breath. But the video is already there on the website. You can go through it.
Any other comments or questions? Just feel free to unmute yourself.
Well, I really enjoyed that, and I'm looking forward to experimenting with my single malt.
But just do the diet, okay?
Yes. And I'd like to see what happens. I'm going to try this.
Yeah.
You know, I travel in my past career internationally, and whenever I go to Asia, the men that I work with always brings out the whiskey and drink it. Like you said, they call it neat. They don't mix it with any water or nothing, just straight in the business meetings. So I never thought of it as a health thing, but I thought it was like a social status thing, right?
You know, very few studies have been done on alcohol because it is considered as a social evil. So I understand where people come from. But as I said, that we have to be honest with ourselves. If you like it, then you have to do everything to make a part of it so it contributes to your health. So this is just, as I said, that somebody aligns with this, do it. If not, it's not a necessity that you have to have whiskey to get all right. There are a lot of other methodologies with which you can get all right. So nothing is an addiction. You know, we take something as an addiction because we cannot get control over it. In Shastra, it is written, if you are any addiction, you know, to a person, to coffee, to tea is an addiction. So that is also something which is an intoxicant, because it intoxicates your mind. You are dependent. What is intoxication? You find dependency on it. It need not be alcohol. It could be anything. But if you make that same thing your health quotient, it becomes your best friend.
But some of the things you just showed about the swishing in your mouth, it's sort of like when they teach you to drink wine to get the the tannins.
Yeah, but here, as I said, that you are using the all parts. You just have to slowly switch. The concept here is not to release anything, just to warm it up. Just to warm it up for your internal body. Yeah, because you put a little bit cold inside, the digestion goes away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments before we wrap up for the night? Okay, Denise says, thank you very much. Big love from Philly.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sumit.
Thank you, Dr. Sumit.
Thank you for listening. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's too early for whiskey, but maybe tonight you use it. Yeah.
You motivated Michael to wake up at 5 o'clock with your whiskey lecture. That's amazing.
Good. So use it in the evening. Okay.
We are going to do that.
Of course.
Yes.
No, we will.
Yes.
And nothing much to do in the lockdown anyways. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. That's perfect.
Thank you, Sumitji. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye,
Take
everyone.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
See you
Shweta.
next time.
Thank you, Dr.
Bye-bye.
Sumit. Thank you,
Thank you,
Shweta ji.
Shweta. Thank you,
Bye.
Shweta. Bye.